Former CNN anchor turned independent journalist Don Lemon pleaded not guilty to federal charges in a Minnesota courtroom.
Lemon is one of 9 people charged in connection with a protest at a St. Paul church last month. The organizers said a pastor at that church was also a top local ICE official. Lemon has said he was covering the demonstration as a journalist and is not affiliated with the protesters. NBC News correspondent Maggie Vespa is following this one for us and joins us. Maggie, take us through what happened in court a short time ago and what's next for Don Lemon's case.
Yeah, guys, this is really striking. We expected this arraignment to go forward pretty quickly, and we expected Lemon to enter the plea that he did, which was not guilty. But his defense attorneys also got up and told the judge that they have a number of motions they plan to file, one of which tied to discovery. In this case, they said, quote, "We have serious concerns," this is just moments ago, about the application of these statutes to our client, claiming their words that Don Lemon was trapped in Los Angeles when he was arrested here just a couple of weeks ago in the wake of this church protest. And they said that when he was arrested in L.A., which was a couple of weeks after the protest, that his phone was taken, and they were told the phone was being shipped to Minneapolis. His attorney's saying today, we still don't know where his phone is. Then a federal prosecutor got up and said, well, actually, we have the phone in DHS custody. We have a warrant to search it. And that search is not yet complete. So that was one kind of detail that his defense team zeroed in on. Remember, the backstory of this protest at a St. Paul church was that protesters wanted to alert congregants that one of the pastors there works for ICE. And Lemon, on his live stream, said that he knew about the plans ahead of time for the protest, that he wasn't going to disclose them ahead of time. He went into the church with the protesters, is now being charged with the exact same federal charges that 7 protesters face as well, guys. Federal prosecutors not delineating between protesters and journalists in that crowd at all.
And Maggie, we know 4 other people charged in connection to the church protest also appeared in court. Remind us about those cases.
Yeah, so those are 4 of the protesters, 9 people arrested total, 2 of them independent journalists, and Lemon is one of those 2. But we had basically 4 other protesters, including a woman named Nakima Levy-Johnson, who's a local civil rights attorney in Minneapolis. She was featured prominently. There she is. I spoke to her in the days after the church protest, and she told us simply that she and other protesters wanted to, again, let congregants know one of their pastors works for ICE. They claim this was peaceful. They claim they were protected by the First Amendment, as does Lemon. I should point out this court appearance is still going on as we speak. And we do actually have a live feed, if we can pull that up, outside the courtroom of the crowd that's gathered to support Lemon and the protesters. One final headline, guys, to bring it back to Lemon. One of his attorneys that he's hired is an, as of recently, former federal prosecutor who resigned from the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota amidst what was reported widespread frustration in that office about the cases they were being leaned on to prosecute tied to ICE operations in Minnesota. So this has quickly become, as you can see, a bellwether case tied to the Trump administration's ICE operations in this city and more broadly as we wait for Lemon to leave today's arraignment there.
We thank you for watching, and remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live on our YouTube channel.